G'day, this is Blxz and welcome to Aldrin Space Program Manager, episode, I think we're in 12 now. So here we go. Let's end our turn. Do a bit more R&D. Light lander's coming along well. Spacesuit's going up. I don't know what we're going to use that space tug for, probably for the light lander propulsion mission. And the Direct Ascent module is at nearly 80% reliability, and we're now going to test it in orbit. Hopefully the thing doesn't crash, but there are no people on board, so even if it does, it's only going to be a minor setback. Now the rocket itself is an engineering marvel. We now have a pretty good reliability on that.
Ignition sequence start. 5, 4, we have ignition. All engines are running.
Flight fighter, we're right on the nominal. Roger, on the nominal.
Alrighty, now we're testing this huge, big, bulky thingy. Direct Ascent module. And it's already pulled our reliability down a bit, and it even has a problem straight away. Okay, now the actual thing itself, now that we're not using the rocket anymore, has some serious problems. And we fix that.
Flight fighter, we're right on the nominal. Roger, on the nominal.
Now we're actually using just a Gemini part.
And 3 engines ready.
It's jumping up and down. So the actual coasting and all that stuff, so we've got all the telemetry, and the actual Gemini module itself is very good. But whenever we're using the engines on that Direct Assault module, it brings our reliability much further down. The Gemini here is a tried and tested technology, tried and true, and we know exactly what we're doing. All done. So problems came up, we did manage to fix them, and because of that we have gained a considerable boost to the Direct Ascent module. The Soviets have managed to fly around the moon with no people in it though. Uncrewed. Look at the flyby. So we got about 5%, I think, on the Direct Ascent module, which here is the equivalent to nearly more than a year worth of R&D just from that one launch. So we are going to test again, and we're going to do the other test here, the crewed one this time. I'm actually not aware if it does make a difference in terms of reliability. I know in terms of prestige we will get very little for repeating this, probably more than 100 or something, whereas doing a brand new mission gives us a big bonus as well as the crew and everything. So I actually don't know for sure what's happening. And I know this is a higher risk, but we'll take it anyway and we'll see how it goes. I don't want you in there, I want... Oh, we're training the other guy. Alrighty then, well then you can be Capcom, Dennis Larson. How old are you? 37, she's not that old, but you're getting on a bit. Everyone else is in a good position. And Ben Green and Wayne Holmes are our two test dummies here. Meanwhile, everybody else here... Now I wonder if I could run... I've never done this before, but I was thinking I could run a maybe this lower mission. No, because if it fails, it'll set me back. I'm not going to bother with my B team just yet. I probably have ended up just wasting a whole bunch of time and effort training the B team, since I'm not really going to trust them with anything. Might later on trust them when we get to doing all the probes later on in the game, if I get around to that. But I'm not going to bother with them just yet. It is the new year, so I'll have a look if I can find any new people. Anyone particularly trainable? You're not bad. Yeah, there's no one spectacular here that really makes me want to jump up and down, so I'm not going to bother. Rover is plodding along gradually. Yoa has had people pulled off it. The lander is being focused on. The suit is getting there. Space tug is gradually getting there, and we've put another 1.2% in, which is actually lower than predicted, into the Ascent module. So 94% chance of success. What we'll be doing this time is hopefully bumping that up a little bit higher.
10, 9, ignition sequence start.
You'll notice I always monitor from mission control. You can actually skip to the outcome, but it means you cannot use the Tiger teams that pop up. You don't have the option of paying extra money to, I guess, rescue a part. And I also have a very high failure rate for some reason, so I think in the code of the game it actually doesn't even allow for even a no Tiger team choice. It just doesn't allow to save a part at all. That may be a mental thing, or maybe I've seen no documentation to prove it either way, but in my experience I have a far and away a huge failure rate. So I think that every minor issue that comes up cannot be fixed. So here, this to come up, this would be an automatic mission failure, whereas now I have a 91% chance of saving it. And we did.
Light fighter, we're right on the nominal. Roger, on a nominal. Ships are good tank pressure and 3 engines ready. Okay. Mark point 8. Good go. Roger. Everything is green here.
Back on the subject of skipping the mission control part, I do actually do that occasionally with some of the multi-turn ones like the Sun probe and the Saturn probe and whatnot. For example, going out to Saturn takes 15 turns or 16 turns. That's actually 4 years in game, and the majority of it is one step of the probe just going beep 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 beep, and that's it. So there's almost no point in loading up the mission control screen just for that one little point. Essentially checking you haven't lost control of the probe or lost contact with it. But mission was successful. We have tested a crewed thing in orbit and gained another 5.4%, which is, what's that? It's nearly 5 times, just under 5 times what we were gaining per season before. So it's a good test. Okay, so the Soviets have tested their Soyuz in orbit around the Earth. Not that that does them a lot of good, because I've already beaten them to the moon. No, I don't recall what I was doing with Audrey. I think I was doing EVA suits, but there should be a lot of people trained in. Oh well, in the meantime, I'm going to get you on space probes. Get to at least 90% before you talk to me again. Okay. So we've done all testing of the Direct Ascent module in Earth, around Earth orbit. So I don't need you anymore. What we're going to do now is start the actual lunar program. So we're going to do an uncrewed lunar flyby again, and it's going to be much the same as we've done before. You know what? I'm going to use my B team for this. You're not good to me. You might be useful. You are probably not really good to me. You won't be. You won't be. Don't know about you either. I've got 22. What am I doing? I don't need any more people. So we're going to do two launches at once here. We're going to have an uncrewed orbital flyby, and because this one has a negative chance to it, I'm going to put my 18 on this one. Good luck with it. And the uncrewed lunar flyby is a more simple mission, and for this one I'll be putting my B team. You go up there, you take over here. Yeah, no choice in the matter. Okay. Now Guido is pretty low, but he's only used Ascent, lunar approach. This guy's used for orbit insertion. It's all orbiting stuff this guy's used for. Lunar flyby 20%. This guy has a much smaller role to play, but in a lot more things. So overall, this guy is bringing down the whole mission, or most of the mission, but a much smaller amount than this guy, who is in a couple of critical areas, such as the lunar flyby and the orbit insertion, where he makes up almost 20% of the entire thing. So I would much rather take a small downer across the whole thing than fail in one or two parts. It does mean the rest of you can go back to training. I'm sorry I disturbed you. Get back up there and don't talk to me again. You are very good at that, but actually it seems I need more GNC people, so you focus there. Oh, I don't know what I'm going to do with you, Jim Power. Spacecraft systems is what you do. So I'll get that to 90. You're our mission op. And you look like another mission op. So at least get to 90 before you talk to me again. I might cross-train you later. You're good at everything. So I'll pick your lowest skill, which is EVA. Okay. Here we go, we're having a double launch coming up. Just double check it's all good. Yep, double launch. Now this is a bit of a risk. The vehicle itself is quite good now. Now we've really bumped it up, you know, more than 10% in the last couple of missions, so it's much more reliable. But double mission means more things can go wrong. We're not using our A-team, so they're going to drag that down, and they're going to be less likely to salvage it if anything goes wrong. Oops, I bumped my mic. Excuse me for that.
5, 4, we have ignition. All engines are running.
So we'll see how this goes. Okay, we're now in lunar orbit, so this is the most difficult mission of the two. And it seems to be completed. You can see now they've dumped off that bottom fuel thing that they were going to be using to land on the moon. And they're flying back the smaller trans-lunar fuel tank. Trans-Earth, I should say. And then there's the final Gemini bit that the pod actually lands. And again, approaching nearly 100% now. If it failed, I would be very surprised. Good job, team. Good job. Now it's time for the B team to get their act on. They're going to be doing a more simple mission. They're not actually required. There goes another couple of terms worth of stuff. So the B team, they're not going to be required to actually get in orbit. They just got to burn the engines long enough to go past the moon. That's all their job is. They also don't have any negatives to success chance because we've done this before. This is a fairly standard test.
We have ignition. All engines are running.
On the downside, they have a guy who is probably not very good, the Guido. So anytime you see this light lit up, which will be most of the flight, we're having a bit of a negative applied to our chances. Again, it'll be pretty small because he's not completely incompetent, and he's not doing a huge role. He's not doing the entire thing, whereas the GNC down here is doing a much more important role in a fewer number of things. He's playing only 20% of this particular role. There's the Guido again failing. So maybe the light does mean they've actually failed their job slightly, and other people have had to pick up the slack. The actual way the tests are being run, like the actual percentage checks, are a bit of a mystery in this game. I don't think it is just a one-off check each time. I think there's a number of checks going on in the background. And if anyone does know, feel free to drop a comment and explain, but otherwise I'm not hugely bothered. It either works or it doesn't. I'll just do the best I can from this end. But we've flown past the moon, we're coming into land, and again, nothing here should go wrong. There we go. We're approaching now up to the maximum. It's nearly, it's not far off its theoretical maximum. So not huge numbers of upgrade, huge amounts of upgrade anymore. But we are getting there. and they've done oh wow, the Soviets have actually done 3 launches by the looks of things. Oh no, they've done 2 launches. So they've done an orbital flight EVA, so they're testing their spacesuits out, and they've done an orbital uncrewed flight test. So they put their Soyuz craft in orbit around the moon and then brought it back with no people in it. So they're about almost exactly 1 year behind us. No, they're just over a year, about a year and a half behind us. So 1 year ago I was doing the mock landing test, whereas they have only put one in orbit. So they're like the beginning of the end of 1967 for me. Okay, let's get our programs again and get the Direct Ascent. What we're going to be doing here, actually, first, before I forget, I'm going to remove anyone off this. Oh, they're already off this vehicle. They've already come off because we've hit the theoretical maximum. So let's get our crewed spacecraft prepared. Get our best people. EVA suits are going well. You are a EVA person. So let's check out. I don't think we'll find anyone above 86. Oh no, 87, okay. So we've got a whole new replacement. You can go, you can be the second. You're there, you're there. So they're still working on it. Nearly 10% per turn. Meanwhile, the remaining 4 can train in EVA again. And then once I've done that, I'll probably start cross-training into space probes and rockets again. Although we can just use the Saturn V, even though it's probably overkill. So what missions am I going to be doing here? Direct Ascent, we're going to be doing... Actually, we could do a landing right now. So we can do a crewed orbital flight, or we can actually do a direct moon landing. Components we're testing here. Yeah, they're not ready by a long shot. So our B team is going to be resting this time as we go and land on the moon a second time within a totally different fashion with brand new technology before the Soviets have even done it once, and in time for when the real Americans did it the first time. So schedule that mission. We'll be using Gemini, which is almost perfect. The ER, which is at its theoretical maximum, and the 2 suits, which are reasonably reliable. Okay, we got Booster, Retro, Fido, Guido, Surgeon, Ecom. Capcom is old Randy Holloway again. Poor fella's never going to go to the moon. You know what? I feel bad for the fella. I'm going to stick him on the moon. Because I'm a gentleman like that. He'll look after his staff, keep their morale up, and all that. Mary Brooks, you can take this particular mission. You can be flight commander this time. Randy Holloway, you are going to be commander for this flight, and your pilot is going to be Ben Green. I think this might be his second time on the moon. Maybe, I can't remember. Oh, they're actually using quite a lot of money here. We're running low. Those 3 can just wait. These remaining 9. Well, Well, you can train because you're going to be a different person later. You can also train because I want to get you skilled up. Alrighty then. Well, I'm going to call this the end of an episode here. We're 25.5 minutes in. So join me next time as we go to the moon a second time with a brand new piece of technology. I've been Blxz, and I'll see you then.